Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Bunayya podcast, which is a conversation between us, Ustaz Dr. Muhammad Hanan Hassan and myself, Rahayu, dear wife of Ustaz Hanan. And this is just not a podcast, but it's a conversations where we talk about topics that relates to life stories, journeys of discovery, and also personal arrival to wisdom that we want to share with the people out there. So for these episodes, what we like to do is actually, as you all know, that Ustaz Hanan has just released his positions, as the Deputy Mufti of Muiz. And I would say that this is a check-in in terms of how he's doing.
I'm doing good. I'm happy.
Is he still grieving, or is he moving on? And this is where it's there has been comment and questions out there, a statement which say that, so is this decisions um, to stop Muiz after 28 years of service, after 28 years of service is a moment, it's an opportunity for him to slow down, and maybe this is what we're going to talk about, whether what does slowing down means to you, to us, to Ustaz Hanan, So Ustaz Hanan, what how do you respond to this comment that, stopping from Muiz is actually an opportunity for you to slow down?
Mama, if there's anyone who has witnessed my journey, the past actually more than 28 years, as a couple, probably when the 35th year, you are the best person to be able to describe and even evaluate how I am doing. I think I'm moving on. I can't claim that I have moved on. It's very difficult to simply undo 28 years of service to and with the community through Muiz. Although you and I, we know that we have been serving the community way far before Muiz through Pergas and various other institutions. Whether I'm slowing down, I come to learn that I have been doing that in these chapters of this journey. I may not be cognizant of that then, but now, then I understand. Oh, those moments were moments that we needed that pause, a momentary pause, and it helped. We may not be cognizant of that, but Allah SWT gave us that situation. Let me give an example. Yeah, some things I did not appreciate then. As a young boy, I always wondered, what's the beauty of a desert? I mean, in the Quran, Allah described desert in quite a detailed sense. But what's the beauty of desert? It's just simply plain sand, sky. No, I could not appreciate. But later I learned that one of the things I enjoyed doing when I was younger was spending few days in the middle of the desert. When I was still in Kuwait, so during the school break in January, it's really winter, and we would spend days in the middle of the desert. And subhanallah, that's really so beautiful, the silence that you enjoy, that you may not enjoy this in the city. The beauty of the sky, the clarity of the air. And that's precisely what desert has taught me. But it is also about, hey, sometimes we need to appreciate that silence to see the clarity of things. Yeah. So probably this is one of those chapters. But probably I'm wiser now, I hope. to be able to appreciate that.
Talking about, sharing about your experience in terms of how you connect to these thoughts of slowing down, I think that's where it connects to me. It resonates to me. When, we recall when we first married, the first thing you did was actually to lay down our 10 years plan,
20 years.
Well, 20 years or 10 years, but I take it in terms of parts, and I can see that if I were to recall back, even when I was as a student, in the university, I've always been very active, in the students as an activist, as student activist. I have to say that there has never been a moment where I try to recall that I slowed down, because university life, I was a member of SRC, member of Law Society. Up then comes to fourth year, the second semester of fourth year, we got married. Upon graduation, I get to work for a year. Then that's where the next 10 years was building family. After building family, then it's building career. And then after building career, the next 10 years, that's a chapter in terms of my contributions to the community. And living in Singapore, where it is a city that is driven by urgency, and productivity, And I thought, the opportunity came when Shaza, our first daughter, decided to pursue her master in Melbourne. It comes at the right time, a moment where I thought that I want to take a pause. And I would say that was a slowed down or a pause on purpose and for purpose. And what is that purpose? It's basically reconnecting back to myself, and reconnecting back to families, and I think and I would have I want to say that 1.5 years being in Melbourne, was a good slowdown for me. It is not anything about not doing anything, giving up thing, not about being passive, not about being out of touch, but it's about reconnecting back at that point of time, reconnecting back to myself, connecting back to my family, and I think this is what you say is always going back to ask that question: what is that meaning in our life, and what is that purpose in our life? And that is the chapter that faced, So for you, what would it be about now in terms of slowing down?
Yeah. We need to disconnect in order to connect. When we moved from a chapter to another chapter, I thought probably there's a period to disconnect in order to make new connections. This life is all, I believe, is all about connections. Connections with loved ones, connection with the divine wisdom, connection with the community, and so on and so forth. Yeah? I also think that when there are so much connections, we may be overwhelmed by these many connections. So much so that we are lost in the midst of this noise.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's good, it's important occasionally to disconnect and sort of reconfigure our connections. This is just like our computer, our phone. Sometimes we need to turn it off in order for the system to reboot and rearrange the connection. Yeah. So I think, like I've said in the past episodes, I realized that people are not really the important element in my life, in my journey. Disconnecting occasionally, momentarily, with certain groups of people, but reconnecting with new groups of people. And that is rejuvenating to me. And I think that's what we are doing now, to make these new connections. You and I, we know we enjoy the days in Melbourne and connecting with new people, new
Yeah.
friends, new families, and we pick up new wisdoms from these people. We are still in Singapore. Now, we are not saying that we have undone old friends, but it's new purpose, if you wish, as mentioned, on purpose and with purpose, rejuvenated purpose, so to speak. So that's what I'm enjoying now.
You know, to be honest, when we took that decision, I would say that decision for me to actually
When you say we, is it a husband and wife, or is it as like
no, we in terms of when we took the decision to actually for me to actually be with the children, in Melbourne, for me it was a conscious choice in terms of to slow down, to pause, but still I wasn't sure what is it that I'm going to discover, but I took a chance, and where I am now, when I as I look back the last 1.5 years or 2 years, and it is something that comes to my mind. You see, our family life journey has always been, you are there, and sometimes you are out, you are there for during your study. We left for Canada, and that was, we left for Canada, but that was the most beautiful time, not
Yeah.
because we were in Canada, but it was an opportunity for us to actually reconnect back
As a family.
Then after 2.5 years, we came back to Singapore, and we got swarmed back again to the fast life of Singapore, and that's, I would say, we came back in 2008, 2012, I started my life as a community leader, and end of 23, I left for Melbourne with the children, and that's where I realized that, as if like, Canada, in Canada, we get reconnected the family. There was a pause because we were busy, serving, the community, people out there, And being in Melbourne is like another chapter of Canada that we get reconnected. And when I sat down and I actually reflect upon, you see, when we came back from Canada, the children were growing up. They went through their teenagers' life, where they themselves were busy with their own activities out there, teenage life, school life, Then they left for their further study, and all our children, I would say that, did their tertiary education overseas, and they were really far from us. They were apart from us. They came back for school holidays. Now, even when they came back for school holidays, they were busy meeting friends, having their own activities, And I think they were disconnected in terms of appreciating and understanding that they are totally a different child. They are grown up, actually, they are adult, and that's where being in Melbourne, was a good catching up for me to realize as a mother, that my once upon child or once upon small girl, or were now a grown up. They are now a grown up woman with their own aspiration, with their own principles and values, and this is what slowing down helps me to discover, as part of our family, the fabrics of our family in terms of the essentials and attributes
Yeah.
that may have changed,
Mm.
you know.
I thought a couple of issues here, or a couple of ideas. One, on the notion of active, being active, and what we call passive or silence. So often we see the latter, being passive and silent, as undesirable as compared to being active. So when you're active out there, you're seen, okay, you're contributing, right? And we are silent, you are seen as passive, not
Yeah.
contributing.
But when you say passive, are you talking about as a parent or as a like individual itself?
Yeah, I think as a parent as well as a community leader and also as an activist, you know, to me, silence is a divine gift
Mm.
that we need to learn to appreciate. If people have the wrong conception of being busy and being silent, and the latter being less desired as opposed to being active, then I think we need to revisit that notion.
Mm.
And we don't. I must admit, during our early days, the manner we look at our fellow members, activists, and we look at the active ones vis-a-vis the non-active ones, and then we tend to be a bit more critical of the non-active one. I say that silence is a divine gift because even in Al-Quran, Allah says, "Inna laka fin nahari sabahan tawila."
Mm.
During the days, you have just so many things. You are like swimming, drowning in the midst of all these currents and undercurrents. And therefore, Allah calls us to be a bit of, to slow down, if you wish, to remain silent during the nights. Just that you pick up, you reconnect with something higher, with greater purpose, right? So that conception need to be corrected or rectified. Secondly, also, I think we also need to teach ourselves, our body, of doing nothing. Remain silent and doing nothing,
Mm.
right? And because our body needs that. You need to slow down a bit. You need to
That
just
resting mode.
mode
Yeah.
and just learn to do nothing.
No,
Yeah.
coming back to when you say that it's a divine gift, you know, it makes me recalls the fact that, you know, if we look into our traditions, you know, even God communicate to the prophets in moments when they are alone.
Yes.
You know, if you go by Musa, you go by Isa, you know, they are always away from the community, you know, and God speaks to them.
Mm.
God spoke to them, not, I mean, there's a statement that said that God don't speak during earthquake and fire, you know, but God speaks when in moment of silence,
Yes.
you know. I think this is something that we need to bring this thing back, you know, as a philosophy of life. That sometimes we just need to be in stillness and in silence, you know, because in silence we're able to hear more
Yes.
about things around us, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I think in comparison to me, that's where I see more in you, you know, how you always want to have that space.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I say it's divine gift. Just consider these moments in our 1 year. 1 year.
yeah.
Now, in a day, we are asked to spend the night and enjoy the stillness of the night,
Mm.
engaging in conversation with the divine gift, our qiyam, right? Our tahajjud. In a week, there's a period we also asked to do that. And Friday,
Mm.
should be considered as that moment, no? So you have a break, longer in terms of your salat, and listen to the khatib. Right? We are asked to listen, and therefore, we all know in during the khutbah we are not allowed to speak. Even playing with stones, pebbles is considered as is undesirable, right? You consider uh, in a month, then you have those period, probably we call it ayamul bid.
Yeah.
And then in a year, Allah makes provision during the last 10 days of Ramadan, right? So that's last 10 days in a year that you spend time alone, enjoy the stillness and the silence before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on. So actually, Allah gives us this opportunity. Now, whether we comprehend this or not, whether we appreciate and see this as, hey, these are moments that Allah wants you to, just slow down,
Yeah.
right? I know that this is a bit challenging for the younger ones, our children.
Yeah.
They're very active, I mentioned, right?
Yeah.
They come back from campus and very busy with all other stuff, and they would consider that this is what life's all about, meaningful life. So you're very active, contribute to society, the community. I think it's good. Yes, we need to contribute to the society. We need to be active, but again, we need to understand that concept. Just how I mentioned earlier, that the notion of silence and stillness, and these are moments that we need to slow down. I understand it may be difficult for them to appreciate this, because this is really a part of a journey that you need to feel it.
Yeah.
You and I, we've been together for so many years, very active in the community, so we can appreciate, we understand that. But on reflection, like I mentioned earlier, those were moments Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually has given us those moments for us to slow down. Canada is one thing.
Yeah.
And you and I will remember during Canada, it was the curriculum development project, the CDP. And we were like, in the room, on the bed, they're all books and manuscripts. And especially was like that even during Ramadan, because we needed to make sure that the books will be out when school reopened.
No, coming back to that, this moment of quietness, moment of, quiet, stillness or pause. If we can actually appreciate that it is a gift from Allah, because even in Surah Al-As, Allah said that, by the token of time, man is in the state of what do you call
Lost.
it? Loss, yeah. And if we cannot appreciate that this moment of pause is a ni'mah, a gift that Allah bestowed upon us, it's really a missed opportunity.
Indeed. Yeah.
And I recalled, when this year my experience, going for Hajj, and how you keep on reminding me to find moments to connect to Allah, and what I experienced then, I mean, this is something that I thought was very personal, and I thought this is the miracle that, or I would say that this is a gift that Allah have given to me. On the eve of, before I left for Hajj, we went to visit Ustaz Hasbi, and one of the things that Abang Hasbi actually asked me is that, what is going to Hajj all about, and of course, I know when he asked, Ustaz Hasbi asked that question, it's actually a deep question, but, for me, I'm just trying to make it easy. I say that, performing the fifth rukun of Islam is part of ibadah, But one of the things that he reminded, that Hajj is actually a preparation for you to face the test, the ujian of Allah, the test of Allah. And throughout the Hajj, throughout Hajj, we know that this is something that has always been told to us, that you will be tested in different ways and in different situations. And we were always on lookout. I personally was always on lookout. And without realizing, without realizing, and this is something that I realized, I'm very conscious about it, that it was during Wukuf in Arafah. If I would say that that is a test that Allah wants to see to what extent that I'm ready to His test, because in the morning I had some kind of experiences, I have all this, my stomach was bloating, I was very uncomfortable, and I was doing everything that I could, applying all the oil, minyak, go and drink hot water, but nothing helps at all. And that period of wukuf is actually like from Zuhur up to Asar, and we were ready for Jumu'ah prayer with the khutbah, all that. And I said that I don't want to, and the dua that you're supposed to make, when you're out there during Asar time, I said that how can I actually do this in connection to Allah in such comforts, and somehow or other, while earnestly seeking for Allah's guidance, that reminder from Abang Hasbi actually came to me and said that, Hajj is about how you face the test of Allah. And when I recall that reminders, I said, Wallahi, I said that, I just did another 2 rakaat of Salat Tawbah. And in my last sujud, I prayed to Allah. I said, Allah, I said that if this is your test to me, for me to experience my wukuf in that state of affairs, I'm all for you. I said that, And what I'm trying to say that we were seeking for that moment of calmness, stillness, and quietness for us to connect to Allah, But in that moment where we chose to have it, but Allah came with that test,
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say that don't wait for that test to come to you, when you are really in search and in need of it, but it came with different kind of testing, and that's why in the moment of calm, in the moment of peace, take that opportunity, to slow down and to pause, to have that time for you.
And precisely why this is a gift. We do not know when Allah gives us the gift, but when Allah wants to grant us something, even hidayah and so on, Allah grants us conditions within which we get these gifts.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just simply giving you the gift, but Allah provide you with the conditions, and we have gone through various of these conditions to appreciate this, to appreciate Allah's gifts. We all parents have challenges. You and I, as parents, we have challenges with our children. There are moments in our life when suddenly, unexpectedly, things happen. But these are conditions.
Yeah.
And Allah granted us that thingy for us to appreciate that stillness, slowing down. I remember a moment where you got to slow down and spend time with our son, helping him to go through with all those challenges.
When was it? What happened?
Well, our son went through certain emotional breakdown, depression, and he needed that time. And it was also then we realized that, hey, he needed us to be around, and you have been an excellent source for excellent source of tranquility and happiness for both of our son. So yeah, Allah granted us those conditions. And obviously that wasn't the only challenge, the only challenge that we face. I have my moments that I needed to reflect. So at the last episode, we talk about I talked with Shadi and that particular year. So alhamdulillah, we cannot but be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all these conditions. So again, like I mentioned earlier, from the very beginning, this it's not necessarily slowing down in the negative sense, but these are reminders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to pause, for us to reflect, for us to slow down, for us to disconnect in order to make new connections. So we did make new connections with our children following all those events. Right? So it's truly, we need to be able to think about this and really see this as moments of that divine interventions, so that we become stronger and we connect with, and we emerge stronger, inshallah.
Baba,
Yeah.
how do you feel when Baba said just now that you had to slow down? Did you feel like you were forced to slow down?
No, I'm not sure whether I was forced to slow down,
Yeah.
because for me, I think it's a natural response. It's a
Yeah.
natural response when you know what is priority to you. And I remember that happened in 2000, 2016, that was my second year, and it was my second term as the president of as a president of PPIS, but even then I was quite clear where my priorities stands. This is my son in need of me, and definitely I don't have any clue in terms of what do I have to do, but I know that I have to be with him. Nothing would actually, nothing would actually take me away, took me away than just to be with him. And I would say that, I would want to say that he's fortunate and he's lucky to have, someone who, and this is where sometimes you don't know your potentials and your strength, right?
Until you're tested.
Until you are tested, until you are put into a situation. But ask me whether I want to go through that again. I would say that no, we pray to Allah that we won't.
Yeah.
But I think Allah has been quite kind and quite compassionate to us, that Allah give us moments where we actually celebrate, happiness, but Allah also make us taste a bit of struggles, for us to appreciate.
Yeah.
If you're not experiencing struggle, then you will not be able to know the taste of happiness. Right? Let me tell you what is my parental trauma.
Yeah.
Raising 6 children, all at the same time. And at first it was very painful for them to say that, no, Mama, you were not there. You and Baba were not there. You were always out there in the community, And that's why I came back to you, right, and said that, I don't understand. I thought we tried our best, but our best was not good enough.
I truly believe they will one day understand this. Probably in a different sense when they are in such a situation.
I wish when the time comes, then they will be able to appreciate what it takes to be a parent.
And when we are still alive, if we are still alive, when they have their own grandchildren, I hope this podcast will still be available. And for them,
I told you so.
So and then they would be appreciate. They will appreciate. I'm okay. You and I, we've done our best, but never doubt that we have given all out to be the best parents, right? And Allah will be a witness to that.
Without that slowing down, I wouldn't know whether we will have that opportunity, to have a space to have conversation about childhood trauma and parental trauma, so that they are able to shift the perspective, while we talk about childhood trauma, but let's flip and look at the parental trauma, because while you are experiencing that childhood trauma, likewise we were experiencing that parental trauma, and how do we actually bridge this understanding, and we become more, like you said, more understanding, more humble, and more compassionate towards each other. And that's why I said the beauty of slowing down, because you have the space and the time to process, to reflect, and to assess, and that's the reason why slowing down, not doing anything, is not a passive activity. Instead, it's very deeply active when you're able to take a step back from reality, process it, and then to be able to return back fully and wholly, wholesome. When things is too much, I think you just have to be brave enough to make that decision to slow down. In terms of leadership, what does slowing down means? What does it look like?
Leaders' primary responsibility to me is not the job or the task or the KPIs. So I believe that the primary responsibility of a leader, especially when you are higher up on the ladder of leadership, is the people. Spending time to listen to the people. Not to talk and instruct and give orders, but really listen to the people. When people are taken care, the job will be taken care. The task will be taken care. So that slowing down, if can be translated in terms of your work, so you spend less time, less operational
Micromanaging,
less operational tasks, but instead, you spend time in silence and in listening to others.
And as a leader, we will always be called to be accountable to things. We will always be called for problem solving, decision making. And how do we actually balance this call to respond to community needs, at the same time finding space for reflections? We always notice that, and sometimes we always ask ourselves, whether we can actually always be able to acquire that balance, So what would our advice be for the young leaders, so that they can prepare themselves not to be burnt out, in their aspirations, in their zealousness, to respond to the community needs?